Happening now, parents and students of a local gym teacher who allegedly verbally abused her students for generations are taking their case to district officials. And we break down a new proposal to raise money for Chautauqua Lake stabilization efforts. Plus, a child abuse survivor here in Jamestown is spreading hope and courage, what she wants the community to know. Next.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up. But first, we start with continuing coverage. The Randolph School Board of Education, they met on Wednesday night, where most members heard for the first time allegations a gym teacher verbally abuses her students. Our Bronson Rasmussen joins us live from the newsroom with more from that Board of Education meeting, a story you'll only see today on WNY News Now. Bronson?
A handful of students and parents turned out in hopes of speaking up against what they say is a multi-generational abuse towards students from girls' gym teacher, Mrs. Nicholson.
She wasn't making school any better. She wasn't making life any better. She was making it worse, actually. And I didn't like my family or my friends being treated that way. And then I was really upset at the way that I was being treated, like I wasn't physically healthy and that I needed to be put in an online class.
And enough is enough. I dealt with it when I was a kid. My kids shouldn't have to deal with it.
The board heard from each victim individually during a private executive session where educators spent several hours reviewing claims. The district has since referred us to their original statement issued Monday that they will take appropriate action when deemed necessary.
I want the teacher gone. I really do, and I'm pushing and I'm holding, other companies to follow up with what they do with special ed and to back, up my daughter.
Others believe there's an alternative solution.
I'm willing to give her a second chance if she can, there's got to be classes she can go to, anger management classes, counseling, and then a heartfelt apology to all the girls from all the years.
However, for current student Jessica Gnomes, the alleged abuse is inexcusable.
The way that I've been treated is unforgivable, and the way my family has been treated is unforgivable. There isn't enough apologies in the world for belittling and body shaming kids.
Since our original story on the claims against the gym teacher premiered Monday, we have had several other students, past and present, speak out with similar allegations. Reporting live in the newsroom, Bronson Rasmussen, WNY News Now.
Brunson, thank you. 4 people have been indicted for their alleged role in an illegal narcotics ring between Buffalo and Jamestown. The U.S. Attorney's Office announced Wednesday the federal drug charges against 39-year-old Joseph Zazo, 37-year-old Richard Philbrick Sr., and 63-year-old Brian Cessna and 31-year-old Kyle Lewis. Between September 2018 and May of 2022, Zazo was accused of organizing and managing an illegal narcotics ring in Jamestown and in Buffalo. Prosecutors say he conspired with others to sell heroin, fentanyl, and methamphetamine out of 12 residences at 12 Locust Street and 110 Fairview Avenue here in Jamestown, as well as 48 Laurel Street in Buffalo. Investigators say that the drugs caused a serious bodily injury to one of their users who overdosed. If convicted, Zazo faces up to life in prison, while Philbrick, Cessna, and Lewis, they face a mandatory minimum penalty of 10 years behind bars. Well, Chautauqua Lake is a staple of our region. From boating to ice fishing or just swimming, many people enjoy the lake year-round. However, maintaining the water is not an easy or cheap job. Alyssa Wright has more on a newly proposed funding source.
The county has reviewed several ideas in the past to bring in funding for lake cleanup and maintenance, and the newest proposal is an annual boat fee.
We're looking to create some sustainable funding for Chautauqua Lake. Right now we have an annual request of about $2.9 million.
County Executive P.J. Wendell wants to make sure that everyone's perspective is considered before moving forward.
There's thousands of people, tens of thousands, hopefully, that use this lake, and we have to look at every one of them and not just focus on, a small number. We have to get past the idea of if you're not with us, you're against us. I appreciate everybody's information. There's some great points, and everyone has their own perspective, and we're going to look at that moving forward.
The idea is to work with local businesses on Chautauqua Lake.
What we'd be looking at is an annual fee. What that fee is yet to be determined. But you purchase a sticker. The hopes are, could we work with our marinas? Can we work with other agencies that put the boats in and out, or working at local establishments?
In the end, Wendell hopes to bring in enough funding that the lake could be enjoyed for years to come.
We have a work cut out for us, but again, it's something really for the betterment of that body of water just down the hill from here is a huge gem, not only from here but Western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania and Ohio. So we have a lot of people that enjoy to use that lake, and we need to do what we can to maintain it.
Alyssa Wright, WNY News Now.
Alyssa, thank you. A Jamestown area child abuse survivor is spreading courage to get out during National Abuse Prevention Month. A rally planting pinwheels for prevention was held at Jamestown City Hall on Wednesday. Now, several keynote speakers included a Jamestown High School student, Tatum. The child and teen abuse survivor shared her story and the importance of having resources available to help those suffering from abuse. Specifically, Tatum highlighted the importance of creating safe spaces in schools.
Although we have good programs, some children are still living in horrible conditions. I encourage you to check in even if you have the slightest suspicion. Even if you can't help directly, let someone know and try to make things easier. I had a hard time sleeping in my childhood home, so I would come into school sleepy, and I had a teacher that would let me sleep on her little carpet area. Even if it's something as simple as that, it means the world to that child.
Now, pinwheels similar to the ones placed at Jamestown City Hall, they're sprouting all around Chautauqua County to raise awareness about child abuse and the importance of speaking up if noticed. Anyone suspecting child abuse or mistreatment should call the Child Abuse Hotline. That number on your screen is 1-800-342-3720. Well, now let's switch gears and get a first check of our weather forecast today. Jackson Hickey in for Andrew this week, who's really picked a good week, Jackson, to go on vacation, I got to tell you.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful past few days we've had. We'll have another beautiful day today and tomorrow. Live look over Chautauqua Lake. It is already gorgeous right now. You see not a cloud in the sky, all blue skies. So perfect day. It'll continue to be that way today as well. And just, get out and enjoy it for sure. I wanted to make mention of storm spotter training coming up. This is the National Weather Service Skywarn training next Thursday, April 20th at 7 in the evening. It is online, but you do need to register, and you can do so at weather.gov/BUF/Skywarn. Radar is a great tool we have, sees above the ground, but storm spotters are really important as well because they can see below the ground, or not below the ground, but at the ground rather, and that's an important tool for severe weather coming up, so certainly consider getting involved with that. The almanac for today, yesterday we had an official high of 72 degrees, official low 35, so we still have been having a couple of cool nights, but otherwise pretty enjoyable. Average for today, 56, will be well above that. I don't think we'll quite make it to that 83 record. We will potentially be in the low 80s today, but not quite up that warm, but certainly well above average today. For the details, mid to lower 70s to the lower 80s. Mostly clear skies for much of the area, and the highest temps will be inland, as they have been for much of this week. Wind southwest 15 to 25. For more details, I'll have a few more coming up. Justin, what's next?
All right, Jackson, thank you very much. As we continue more on the push here in New York to protect abortion medication access. And later, how a nationwide drug shortage is impacting cancer patients here in our region. Stay with us.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
On this episode of Lead and Lures,
pro staffer and lethal lady, Caitlin Armstrong, takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on Channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Caitlin Armstrong.
Land has been quite the experience.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Some New York lawmakers and state leaders are taking steps to further protect reproductive health and access to abortion medications. Our New York Capitol correspondent Elise Klein is breaking down the efforts and has reaction from our local lawmakers.
In the wake of the Texas court decision to overturn a 23-year-old FDA approval of mifepristone, a primary medicine used in abortion and miscarriage care, Governor Kathy Hochul stockpiles 150,000 doses of misoprostol, a nearly 5-year supply.
Last year, the attacks were on abortion procedures. This year, medication abortion. What's next? Contraception? Birth control? Well, I'm here to say, not New York, not now, not ever.
And other state leaders are also taking steps to further protect abortion medications. Earlier this week, New York State Attorney General Letitia James filed an amicus brief, a petition to the Fifth Circuit of the United States Court of Appeals, urging a halt of the Texas court's ruling.
Safeguarding access to medication abortion is a top priority for my office. And that means that for now, approval of mifepristone remains protected, and abortion remains protected in the state of New York.
Some state lawmakers say the Texas court ruling could be used to gain moral high ground.
All of this it just ends up being an opportunity for grandstanding and virtue signaling on the part of the far left in New York.
While other lawmakers say the state needs to do everything it can to protect reproductive health.
I am continuously enraged by the attacks across our country on our bodily autonomy. As these right-wing assaults on reproductive justice continues, so must our resistance to them.
In Albany, Elise Klein, WNY News Now.
E-cigarette maker Juul Labs has agreed to pay almost $500 million to 6 states and Washington, D.C. The $462 million settlement will be made over 8 years. The settlement will also force retailers to keep Juul's products behind counters and verify the age of purchasers. Juul must also stop using people under 35 years old in its marketing materials. New York Attorney General Letitia James co-led this lawsuit.
There is no doubt that Juul played a central role in the youth vaping epidemic. Today, Juul is paying for the widespread harm it caused and will undergo severe restrictions on its marketing and sales practices.
James says vaping among high school students in New York City went from 8% in 2014 to more than 23% in 2018. The lawsuit accuses Juul of promoting its products to high school students. The company says the settlement brings it near total resolution of its legal challenges. Juul has settled more than 5,000 cases so far. Well, a national shortage of several important cancer treatment drugs is impacting patients across the country and right here in our region. Erie News Now's Lisa Adams is checking in with oncologists at UPMC Hillman Cancer Center to find out what's causing these dire circumstances.
A nationwide shortage of several cancer drugs is impacting treatment for patients across the country and right here in Erie at UPMC Hillman Cancer Center, forcing their doctors to look for alternatives.
So it's a difficult conversation. I usually explain to the patient that we're going to use the best available agents, but right now some agents aren't available.
One drug in short supply, Pluvicto, used to treat advanced prostate cancer, isn't expected to be widely available again for months, and there are other shortages.
There's been an impact in breast cancers and in treatment of lung cancers and in treatment of bladder cancers with drug shortages in drugs like nab-paclitaxel or Abraxane.
If a patient can't get the chemo drug that's working best for them or is waitlisted, studies show chances of beating the cancer decline.
Every month that there's a delay to cancer treatment, it can impact a patient's success by about 10%.
And oncologists say what's causing the shortages isn't clear. Novartis, manufacturer of Pluvicto, blames supply chain. But industry experts also cite a lack of investment in generic drugs that aren't very profitable.
There's not that much of a financial incentive to manufacture some of these older drugs.
For now, UPMC Hillman doctors are presenting their patients with the best options available.
It might push us towards going into a surgery or doing a radiation treatment first, rather than starting with a chemotherapeutic approach.
Lisa Adams, Erie News Now.
Lisa, thank you. Now, this problem doesn't seem to be going away soon. A report published in March by the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs found that the new drug shortages in the U.S. increased by 30% from 2021 to 2022. Well, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Wednesday, the House Health Committee held a hearing on prescription drug prices. The hearing addresses the proposal of a prescription drug affordability board. Now, this board would review and analyze drug costs and set up upper payment limits to cap state spending. Advocates for the board say it will lower costs while ensuring drug companies still have to make profits necessary for innovative research and manufacturing. Now, those opposed say unelected officials should not be determining what drugs are available in the state.
We don't want to bankrupt anybody, but there's a way to balance the need for profit by pharmaceutical companies to incentivize the investment and reasonable upper payment limits, which is what we're talking about here.
PDABs not only seek to create boards that consist of unelected members that can arbitrarily set policies that won't necessarily have a positive impact on patient costs, but some, like the Pennsylvania legislation from last session, also empowers the members to set an upper payment limit or a price cap.
Lawmakers also heard testimony from several residents who rely on programs like Medicare or Medicaid, but still face serious challenges with high drug prices. Well, coming up next, our Washington, D.C. correspondent has a look at the lessons learned from coronavirus and its impact on primary schools. And later, we hear from an advocate for Alzheimer's disease, keeping her father's memory alive by fighting for a cure. But first, Jackson has more on today's weather forecast.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Have you ever wanted to live out your dreams? Hunt, fish, in all corners of the earth? Well, now's your chance. Follow Primitive Patriot Outdoors as we live out our dreams and show you how to live out yours through outdoor adventures. From Western New York to Africa to all corners of the earth, follow us on this adventure. It's an experience you've never seen before. Lead and Lures, Roku TV, channel 716.
Slow down, and move over. Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights, vests,
please give us some room.
slow down and move over. When you need help,
It's our job
to help you.
to save you.
Despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real. Do your part.
Please
Slow down, and move over.
move over.
WNY News Now is covering stories that matter to you.
15-year-old Yadiel Diaz was subject to a public humiliation stunt by a fellow student in an act of violence and bullying. Now Yadiel's mother, Raquel, has had enough.
Officials are trying to work with the county's homeless coalition
To help support the homeless population locally, there are also plans in the works to build 2 new shelters.
WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Looking at the current conditions as of the noon hour at the Jamestown Airport, already up to 73 degrees, west wind at 12, visibility not an issue, greater than 10 miles, and the dew point 44, so it is comfortable for sure right now. I wanted to show you this. This is radar of South Florida. Yesterday, the Fort Lauderdale and Miami area got hit hard by some rain. I wanted to explain sort of what happened. This warm front stalled out over South Florida, and you can see some of these cells just sort of sat over Fort Lauderdale and Miami for quite a few hours, and this is what it looked like on the ground from that. The Fort Lauderdale airport officially picked up 22 inches of rain in a 6-hour time period. That is, once in a century. That's Noah's Ark kind of rainfall there. So really, we're blessed with the weather we have here, and that is well above average for even Florida standards. But in our area right now, nothing like that. The high pressure system's still sitting just to our south, and that's going to keep us quite nice for today and tomorrow. But things will start to change as we get into the weekend. Timing it on Future Scan. As we continue throughout the day, I'm just going to let this play. Maybe a couple of stray clouds, otherwise not much. Really excellent conditions that we'll see throughout the day today and into tomorrow, throughout the morning and early afternoon. We could see a few clouds around dinner time, but that's about it. But you'll see as we head into Saturday, perhaps a few scattered showers in the morning, and then maybe a couple rumbles of thunder in the afternoon. As we look at the extended forecast powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions, you can see perhaps low 80s for parts of our region for today and tomorrow, and still clear skies. It is going to be absolutely perfect, so get out and enjoy it. But as we head into Saturday, perhaps a few isolated rumbles of thunder and some rain showers as well, and it'll get a bit more widespread as we head into Sunday and Monday, and it will cool down quite a bit, at least for a time, for the beginning of next week.
All right, Jackson, thank you very much. I see a walk in my future later today. Let's get some headlines now from around the nation. And a federal appeals court has frozen parts of a Texas judge's order that would have suspended the FDA approval on medication abortion drug. It comes after the U.S. District Judge issued a ruling last Friday that would have halted the FDA's 23-year approval of the drug misoprostol. Under the appeals court's new order, the approval will stay in effect and the drug will remain on the market while an expedited appeal plays out. However, the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is leaving in place parts of the ruling that halted the changes the FDA made to the rules around the drug that expanded access to medical abortion pills. Those changes include the end of the requirement that mifepristone will be picked up in person, and the agency's approval of the generic version of the drug, and adjustments the FDA made to the label instructions for its use as well. Well, studies have shown that remote learning during the pandemic set our students' educational growth back. It also impacted their overall social and mental well-being. In preparation for the next pandemic, lawmakers in D.C. are taking a hard look at the lessons learned from coronavirus. Our Washington correspondent Rachel Knapp has more.
Long-term closing of schools proved to be harmful to students.
In a recent hearing with the House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic, lawmakers were in agreement. There was a huge learning loss for students during the pandemic. Data from the National Assessment of Education Progress, an exam that evaluates children across the country under the Department of Education, shows 9-year-olds lost the equivalent of 2 decades of progress in math and reading. 8th and 4th graders also showed severe declines, especially in math. The Department of Education says data collected before and during the pandemic shows that in-person learning on the whole leads to better academic outcomes, greater levels of student engagement, and better social and emotional well-being.
Our goal must be to make our schools resilient for the next highly contagious, lethal virus so that we can keep schools open, protect students and teachers, prevent outbreaks, and reduce transmissions of the virus in our communities.
Looking at the lessons learned from the coronavirus pandemic, members are preparing for the next one. The Education Department says in-person instruction should be a top priority for all communities. But keeping kids in class during a pandemic, schools should do a couple of things like improve ventilation, physical distancing, getting those eligible to be vaccinated, wearing masks, contact tracing, and more. And if students are unable to attend in-person classes, schools and districts need to make sure students remain engaged and connected by having a plan in place, provide rigorous instructional materials, address technology access, and more. At the Capitol, Rachel Knapp reporting.
Rachel, thank you. Some bridges across the country will soon be getting repaired or even replaced. The Biden administration plans on nearly $300 million to 8 states and the District of Columbia towards fixing the bridges. Administration officials, including Transportation Secretary and the Infrastructure Coordinator, will travel across the country to highlight these projects. Some bridges in parts of New York will receive funding. Thursday's announcement will come out of the Invest America Tour. According to a White House official, since President Biden signed the infrastructure law back in November 2021, more than 4,600 bridges have already been getting repairs. Well, coming up next, how memorializing victims of Alzheimer's disease has led to a new birth of advocacy in our region.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first. WNY News Now is covering stories that matter to you.
Police and other local law enforcement agencies are looking for the person responsible for a shooting.
One of the benefits of this new feature is it not only works with the newer parking meters that the city's been rolling out, but these traditional meters as well.
From muddy trails to slick cliff edges to structures that have fallen into disrepair, these are just some of the problems that this park faces.
WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this. You will find something.
You will find something new.
Something more than a birthday is happening here. Once you can see it, you can help. The sooner you recognize the signs of autism, the sooner you can make a lifetime of difference for your child. Start by answering a few simple questions at screenforautism.org.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Alzheimer's is a devastating form of dementia, and watching your loved one struggle through the disease can be extremely difficult. Erie News Now's Megan Selensky recently sat down with a local student who has experienced this firsthand and shares her story and some advice for those who might be in a similar situation.
My story begins back in high school, actually. My sophomore year of high school, my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Unfortunately, we did not know many of the signs or had no idea what was going on with my dad, but we had an instinct that something was wrong. From high school to college, I had 3 years with him. Watching him disappear right before my eyes is something that I don't want anyone else to go through. One of the hardest things was trying to be patient with him because he's trying his best. There was one time I remember he had pointed to a photo. It was like, "This is you." And I was like, "Yep, it is." And unfortunately it wasn't. It was one of my siblings. And we don't look alike because I'm adopted. So, that was probably one of the harder moments. And he had realized later on that he had made that mistake.
Megan Selensky, Erie News Now.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Maya for sharing her story. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Of course, the news continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com.